Hello, I'm Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest YouTube video. Goodness, it feels like ages since I've been able to sit down and film a video for YouTube. I've just moved house earlier this month, and if you're subscribed to my blog, then hopefully you've received the newsletter telling you all about it. So today I'm going to kind of ease back into things with a nice and simple junk journaling session. I'm really close to having finished this junk journal, so I'm keen to kind of just get those last pages completed and then hopefully share a flip through with you and probably make a new junk journal kind of ready for what feels like a whole new season for me now that I've moved. So I'm going to start off with some simple collage pages. I've got all kinds of little vintagey style papers in here, so I think that would tie in really nicely. So I'm just grabbing out lots of little scraps that I can use in here. And I find that if I want to do a bit of low pressure journaling, then doing a bit of collage in my junk journal is a really lovely starting place. So I've just got these few different pieces here, and I've already got this background, which I believe was a printable from Pink Monarch Prints. And so I want to kind of keep things tied in as much as I can with that colour scheme that's already there. So I just want to keep things simple. I'm going to glue this down with Pritt Stick. So we've been in our new home for a few weeks. In fact, I think it's 3 weeks today, the day that I'm filming this. We've had so much going on, lots to adjust to. It's a completely new environment, a completely new style of house. And so if you've read my newsletter, you've learnt hopefully a little bit more about our cottage, some of its quirks, just the most amazing location. And I am hoping at some point over the next few weeks to do a little bit more filming around where I'm now living, so that I can share some of that in the videos and how it's hopefully going to be inspiring me and bringing lots of new ideas into my journals, which I'm just so excited about. During the move itself, I kept up with my daily journal where I just jotted down a few notes every day, sort of 4 or 5 lines of things that had happened. And I also kept up with my Hobonichi, which I just simply used as a planner during that time. There was so much to get done every day, so it was really helpful having that. What I didn't really do was much in the way of creativity during that time. So I filmed my first session here last week for Patreon because I just wanted to check the setup, because you might notice I'm working on a kind of different surface. I'm actually filming this in our kitchen because it's my favourite room in the house. And so I'm just working at the kitchen table, but I just wanted to check that out on Patreon first, that everything looked okay. So I'm leaving these with some of that beautiful backing paper showing through. And just kind of keeping to really neutral colours. And then what I'm planning on doing is using this side, turning this one into a writing spot. I've certainly had lots to kind of process over the last few weeks, and it's all been really exciting, but also really tiring, as you'd expect. And I feel like I'm now slowly starting to come back down to earth a little bit, I guess would be the right expression. So I now want to look for a kind of focal image for here. And I absolutely love this book, Botanical Art to Cut Out and Collage. And this is by the Kew Royal Botanic Gardens. And I want to look for something a little bit autumnal, to kind of fit in with the changes that we're seeing outside. So I quite like some of these, but I know there's some kind of mushroom and toadstool ones in here somewhere. So I'm gonna have a quick flick through and see if I can find those. I've been taking so many photos outside. It's been absolutely lovely, and kind of bringing things back, leaves that I want to sketch or use for printing. And so it's already bringing something really kind of new and exciting into my life. So I've got lots of mushroom ones here to choose from. I really like that one up here. And I like this book because it's designed for exactly this purpose, for tearing out and using in art projects. And I also really like the fact that each of the sheets on here has different pattern papers on the background. So when I tear around all of these focal images, I've always got some little strips that I can use in my collages as well. So I think that will be nice to have there. And I'd quite like to use a little bit of this as well. Something I'll probably just tuck that under there. And then add this to the top of my page. And I like to try and layer things so I can see a little bit of everything that's behind it still peeping through. The next thing I want to add to this page is a quote. And each month on Patreon, as part of the printable bundle, I include some little quotes and sayings in there. And so I'm going to go for admiring the changes in nature, because that feels absolutely perfect for now. And we're just surrounded by fields, woodlands, rivers, lakes, all sorts of things in our new home. So I'm just feeling incredibly lucky, and it's the most perfect place to be able to just notice those subtle changes every day. To finish off this left-hand page, I'm just going to do a little bit of stenciling, and I've got my Leafy Trails stencil here. And I don't want to add loads because I already like that background, keeping it quite nice and simple. But I've got, I think I'm just going to use a little bit of this brown acrylic paint. This is Burnt Umber. And I'm just going to just scrape a little bit of this through the stencil. And you could definitely use a makeup sponge. I just wanted a little bit more texture on that today. It will definitely take longer to dry than if you're using a makeup sponge, because you're putting a thicker layer down. I'm going to add a little bit more paint. Textures is something I've become really drawn to recently, perhaps from spending more time outside and just noticing the textures on everything, whether it's kind of the bark on trees, the surface of the leaves that I've been collecting. And it's just nice to find kind of small, subtle ways of being able to bring that into my journal. I think I'll have just one down here. And then a final one at the bottom of the page. And I really like that because it's completely imperfect, much kind of bumpier than it would be with the makeup sponge, and that feels just right for me at the moment. So I now want to create a writing spot on this page here. So I'm going to use some coffee dyed paper. I find coffee dyed paper is great for collages, but really good for creating writing spots on a kind of vintagey style page. So I always try and do this in big batches when I do them. It's just so handy. And I kind of feel you don't have that pressure of a whole page to write on, though often I love doing lots of writing. But sometimes when I just want to pop down a few little thoughts, just creating a small writing spot makes it really inviting. And I'm just off-centering that so that I can still see lots of that beautiful music paper behind. I think actually before I put my glue away, I quite like to just tie this in a little bit with the papers on the other side. And just a nice way of using up one of those little scraps. So now I'm going to stamp my date right up there, and then I'm going to spend a few minutes just reflecting on what I'm seeing around me at the moment, some of the changes that I'm already starting to notice, having only been here a few weeks. And for that I'm using a black Muji gel pen. That is my quick journaling session now, all complete. I really hope you've enjoyed seeing these pages come together, and apologies again for my absence. Hopefully now I'll be starting to get back into more of a routine with things and be able to share more regularly on YouTube. As always, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody who's joined me over on Patreon. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you're doing really well, and I look forward to speaking with you really soon in our next video.